Hello, my darlings. This is Annette from AnnetteLeonard.com, back with you for another moment for chronic wellness. And we are continuing today to talk about how do we manage this guilt that comes along invariably with chronic illness. And I find that it is much like a hollow point bullet, in that once it pierces the body it's intended for, it just goes in and the action just ricochets around and destroys, just tears up flesh and bone and completely damages the body inside. The reverberates. And the same seems to be true of guilt. It doesn't benefit me, it doesn't benefit the person or people I'm feeling guilty about or for, and yet here I am with the guilt. So you might find it quite strange then that the next suggestion I have for managing the guilt is to just be with it. And much in the same way that, like, when you get in the bathtub and the water feels so great because it's the perfect temperature, or maybe even just a little too hot, and then you stay in there reading your book or falling asleep, losing track of time, and then the bath water gets, cooler and tepid, and then is uncomfortably cool, and you're like, I gotta get out of here. I find that my experience of guilt can transform if I'm just willing to stay with it. And as with any uncomfortable emotion, this is not an intuitive thing. I spend a lot of time trying to avoid, escape, numb out, get away from these feelings that we think of as negative. And if I can get still, get quiet, and just sit with the guilt, sometimes it's trying to show me something. Sometimes I can just notice myself as somebody who's having guilt. Sometimes I can use it as an opportunity to practice that all-important, elusive, and difficult self-compassion that I spend time talking with you all about, and be the person who is practicing self-compassion for the person who is experiencing guilt. But I can't do any of those things if I don't feel the guilt, acknowledge that what I'm experiencing is guilt, and then set aside some time to just inhale, feel the guilt, exhale, breathe out some of the guilt, inhale, feel the guilt, exhale, get curious, inhale, feel the guilt. So, ironically, being with the guilt is one of my tips for how you manage the guilt of chronic illness rather than trying to escape or avoid. Have you done this? What have you learned? Let us know. In the meantime, thanks for being here, and be well.